Yeah.
as you're speaking, you are communicating really ancient truth in this fresh kind of way. And so I'm just like, there's the example. And what would you credit that to? Like The Secret Place?
Yes, 1000%. I would not know what I know without him giving it to me. I have a lot of incredible mentors and teachers that I tune into as well. And so having my infiltration of sound, again, other people's words that are positive, are upgiving, life-giving, and true. That truth piece is something you have to research. Just because someone is talking doesn't mean it's true. Just because they say that they're a pastor doesn't mean they're pastoring God's sheep. And so you have to be very conscientious of the truth in which you're receiving, and obviously ultimately taking it back to the real world, the real truth, and the real word.
Man, I feel like that's for some girls watching who, I mean, we've already touched on this, but the way you're saying, they have been positioning themselves. It might be in a certain industry, or it might just be the way they're talking about their offer or the offers that they have. But they're like, this is what works. Like, my bank account says it's working. But there's this like, I don't know if this is actually what I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
That's good. Okay, so that takes us right back into your story. Actually, what do you ever, if we can be honest, do you ever feel like you're trying to catch up to where you were financially?
I have never been asked this question before. So when you asked it jumping into the after party, I was like, gosh, that's a great question. I started simmering with it, but I like to be so present and just allow the spirit to flow through. But I would say I've never processed it like that, because similar to how I shared before, that version of myself was so sad. That version of myself was so depressed. She was striving. She was clinging on with her whole life onto things that are not eternal, and were causing suicidal ideation, were causing rifts in her marriage and her mothering journey. And honestly, if I had kept at it, which I had a choice to keep those businesses, I would not be the woman that I am today. And that very tombstone would probably just still say entrepreneur. And that's not enough for me. It's not enough for God, which is why he radically shifted my life. But I will be transparent in the financial piece. Yeah. I mean, to have that, what seemed to be security, though it was falsified security, right? It was what really identified me at that time. Yeah. And I share actually in my book, there was this first like networking event that I went with my husband after I had no longer had those titles or those businesses under my name. And I remember talking specifically to guys, and we're in a room full of women right now, so you guys will really get this, where they would ask me what I did. And at this season, I was a stay-at-home mom. And it's the best, hardest, most enduring, challenging, and kudos to all stay-at-home moms title you could ever have. But upon saying that, you would immediately see the lens, the eyes of the guys kind of glass over and start looking over your shoulder to like, who else can I go talk to? Essentially, she has nothing here for me. I don't relate to that. Like, oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom. And that hurt. That was hard. But as I said at the beginning, I really was conscientious of the titles that I was carrying, because that didn't matter. And it was the most profound. Think about how proud Moses's mom, his birth mom, was. Think about Joshua's mom. You think about all these incredible leaders and you're like, wow, God really put his hand on them. Like Jesus himself wouldn't be here without an amazing stay-at-home mom. Okay. So I give massive credit to those people. The financial thing is constantly something I have to lay down before the Lord. And he knows this about me. And I'll be transparent. I've been asked multiple times through this business and my nonprofit not to take a penny. Okay. That is the most challenging thing that I wrestle with God with on a semi-daily basis, at least weekly, I would say. Wow. Sometimes I'm in a high and I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord, look at all of the manna. Look at everything you've provided. Look at the team that I pay for every single month, right? And I still to this day have not taken $1 from my business. And it's a book I'm writing, so you'll get the understandings of how and why and all of that. But it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it makes sense to me and Jesus, and that's what matters.
Wow. I'm loving how, as we're doing these interviews, we're hearing about the cost
Yeah.
of following Jesus. There's a lot of like freedom that comes when you lay aside the world's way of doing things and you like crack yourself open to be a messenger, right? There's a lot of healing and beautiful things and impact and that happens. But every time we get to these backstage interviews,
I love that.
there's a cost.